What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we are going to be talking about the Joker movie. Yes, I finally saw it. And give you some of my thoughts on it. This is going to be a spoiler review. And the reason why is because there's not a lot to talk about without spoiling the movie. So that's why I'm going to be doing it this way. It's not just me. A lot of other YouTubers did this too. So blame them. Nah, I'm kidding. You can blame me, but before I do spoil the movie and review it. If you guys haven't seen the movie, I do think you should see it. Do I think this is a movie you should go rush out to see? No, I think you should kind of take your time. I don't rush. See it whenever you have time. But I don't think this is a movie you need to run out to the cinema to go see or anything. So, the Joker review, or the Joker movie, what did I think of it? I thought that the movie, well, let me give you some context first. So, I saw this movie Sunday night, saw it with my family. They kind of were pushing me to see it, so I said, okay, fine, I'll go see the movie. So I went and saw the movie, and after I saw the movie, I said to myself, I don't know what I would rate this. I don't know what I would even give this out of 10. Like it was very weird. For the first time, I sat there after a movie and I said, I don't know what I would give this. I didn't even know where I was at in the spectrum or the range of numbers. I just was like, well, I know it's not a bad movie, but I don't think this is a movie that's like an Oscar-winning prize movie or anything. I think that it's a good movie, or it's an okay movie. It's an okay movie, or it's a good movie. It's between those. So that's what I ended up. That's how I felt. That's how I ended up feeling about the movie. I thought that the movie was okay, or that it was good. I didn't think that it was a big Oscar-winning movie, or it was a bad movie. So let's talk about the Joker himself. What did I think about Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of Joker? I thought that his version of Joker was not as good as Heath Ledger's. I think that Heath Ledger's is still one of the best. I think he is. Now, I don't know if he is the best, but I think that he is still one of the best. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is good. It is obviously way better than Suicide Squad's version of Joker. I don't even know what they were thinking about with that. But I do think that this is a very good Joker. Now, compared to the other live-action Jokers that I've seen, I don't know where I would rate this one on the list. But I think that he is up there with them. So, he does a really good job. But what I will say is I feel like this movie doesn't give him enough of a chance to really let loose, to really go crazy, right? I feel like his character felt sometimes very tamed, and he didn't go out of his way to do anything super duper crazy. The worst he does is he kills 5 people. 5 people. The Joker only kills 5 people in this movie. He kills these 3 people on a subway. He kills this one guy who cost him his job, and he kills some guy on live TV. And that's it. That's all he really does. Now, and he uses a gun, obviously. With one guy, he used a knife, which actually, that scene, I think, was probably the most uncomfortable scene for me, just simply off of the basis. He wasn't just stabbing him. He just starts slamming him into the door. Like that part, I felt like he was really, letting loose and letting the Joker out. But even on that, even at the last death, the last person he kills in the movie, he's on live TV and he just kind of pulls a gun out and shoots him. Even that felt tamed. You know what I meant? Like for me watching it, it felt tamed. I thought this Joker felt, compared to Heath Ledger's Joker and compared to other types of Jokers in live action movies and TV shows, I felt that he was very tamed. I didn't think they gave him enough of a room to really be crazy. And let's talk about his crazy thing. So obviously he suffers from mental illness. In the beginning of the movie, he takes these pills, but eventually he's not on his pills anymore. And because he's not on his pills, it eventually leads him going insane. And because of that, it leads him becoming the Joker. So that is literally the plot in a nutshell about what happens. And I know that sounds very simplistic, but that is pretty much exactly what happens. Now, yes, there are layers, like, for example, like when he gets fired or when he, gets beat up by random people on the street or, when people make fun of him, obviously it's all adding up to him eventually snapping. Eventually it all leads up. But it mostly seems like it's because he's off his meds, and it's, because we're put in a spot right before he becomes the Joker, and I feel like, there was more backstory. Speaking of backstory, let's talk about the origin. Let's talk about the origins. The story itself, it felt like another origin story. Now, I think one of the things I liked about this movie was it does this thing where I think the director or the writer played the Arkham games, he watched The Dark Knight, he watched a bunch of other Batman movies and cartoon shows, and maybe even read some comics, because a lot of these different origin ideas are from older comics or older cartoon shows or older live-action movies. For example, there is a scene where he does stand-up comedy. Obviously, he's not really good at it, but it reminded me of the scene from Batman Arkham Origins, where he was on stage and he was performing comedy act. That felt familiar. I think there was a scene in Arkham City, or I think one of those where, Joker was talking about how his dad, went to go get a pack of cigarettes and never came back. Or another one, which I like this one, where Bruce Wayne and Joker could be related. And yes, Bruce Wayne is in this movie, which we will get to. But the origin feels like another origin story. We find out that the Joker was adopted. We find out that, his mother wasn't really his mother. We find out that, we just find out all these different things. And because of that, it ends up feeling like another random origin story of the Joker. Because this movie doesn't seem like it's much, right? It just seems like that it's, it takes all these different origin ideas and it says that some of them are true, some of them are not. And, that's what I feel like this movie does. I feel like this movie tries to do a combination of all those origin stories that Joker has told over the years, because we never knew what his origin story really was except in The Killing Joke, which I do want to get to soon. All right, so let's talk about the length of the film. This movie is about 2 hours. And it takes its sweet-ass time. Getting to the point, getting to where it wants to get to. It really, really takes a while for them before they really get to the parts that are really, So what I'm trying to say is sometimes things do feel like they're dragging on, especially in the beginning. But other than that, like I said, the pacing, it takes its sweet-ass time. It talks about and it stays in moments it wants to stay in. I think it does a good job of... sometimes it does too good of a job in trying to stay within moments of certain scenes. But other than that, the pacing was fair. It's pretty good. All right, so let's talk about this big one. Bruce Wayne. So yes, like I said before, Bruce Wayne is in this movie. And they do the origins. They try to do this origin story where Bruce Wayne might be related to the Joker, or they might be brothers. Because that was a thing. I think. I think that was a thing. Like maybe a couple years ago, or maybe about maybe 10, 12 years ago. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how long it's been since that was a big rumor, but. That was a thing, apparently, and they try to do that in this movie. Obviously, it's deconfirmed, Um, but again, it's just another origin story that they brought in to try to, like, you know, this movie does this thing where it takes origin stories or things that we've heard about from Joker's past or that we thought he lied about, and you know, it kind of uses that to push the plot and about how he gets crazy and things like that. But this is one thing I wanted to point out, because at the very end of the movie, when, you know, chaos has reigned and, you know, the whole town's going nuts and Gotham City's just on fire, basically. Bruce Wayne's parents get murdered again. And it's almost comedical. It's almost a comedic way of looking at it at this point, because it's like, we've seen Bruce Wayne's parents get killed so many times that I swear to God, we've seen Bruce Wayne's parents get killed more than Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. Let's be honest. We've seen Bruce Wayne's parents get offed more times in the DC medium than with Spider-Man with Uncle Ben in the Marvel thing, okay? You know, and it's kind of funny because I sit there and I tell people, like, all the time, like people yell at me. They're like, "Oh, you just want to see Uncle Ben get shot again." No, motherfucker. At least DC realizes that, you know, his parents are such a huge part of him. But no, I don't want to see his parents get offed almost every movie, even in a movie that's not even supposed to be about Batman. That's another thing, is this director realized that, I think this director or this writer realized, is that they tried to do this thing where they separate the Joker from Batman. And I feel like it doesn't work, because Joker has an obsession with Batman. Not in this movie, but in the comics and other mainstream media, like games and movies and stuff. He is obsessed with Batman, right? And it helps lead his insanity. It helps kind of like push it forward. But because he doesn't have that Batman motivation, it feels very lacking because of it. I feel like, you know, when you compare the relationship between, like, for example, Heath Ledger's Batman, or Heath Ledger's Joker and Christopher's Batman, and you look at those two, and it's like, what type of Batman would even work for this Joker? You know what I mean? And then you ask questions like that, and then you ask yourselves, well, you know, this Joker doesn't even really know how to fight. He doesn't even really know how to, you know, I love how people try to say, like, oh, well, we figure out how he, you know, gets this army or his gang, right? We figure out how he gets a gang of Jokers. Well, I don't feel like that needed any explanation, honestly. I always thought that he was just kind of crazy and people just followed him. Like, for example, like with the scene in The Dark Knight, where, you know, Joker, like, I think throws, like, a knife or something on the ground, and then he's like, oh, whichever one of you kills each other, you guys can work for me. Like, Joker is psychotic. He's the type of guy who will sit there and think about how he, in a sadistic way, about how he wants to kill you, or how he's gonna have you die. Like that is Joker. But with this Joker is like, you just kind of push him, and then he just kind of snaps, right? And then he's just shooting people, or he, you know, the closest I think we got is when, you know, he starts stabbing that guy and he's smashing him on the wall and stuff. Like, that is the closest I think we got to a, like, sadistic, evil Joker in that movie. Because, again, the movie needs to remind you that this is the bad guy, right? Joker is the bad guy. Like, I understand people, you know, and this movie does a good job of having you sympathize with this version of Joker. They really do. They do a really good job of that. But they do also a good job of reminding you that this is the bad guy. He is a bad guy. He is insane. He is crazy. Like, this is not something to take lightly. Like, he is not a person you can lay back with. Like, this is a crazy person. So, with that being said, that's all I really got to say. I think this movie is okay. It's good. This is just not a movie I think that I would run out to the theaters to see, or that is a Oscar-winning movie. And it's sure as fuck not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. And I know like there was some controversy about this movie, about the critics hating this movie, and then the fans and then like the audience loving this movie. Kind of like with Venom. Isn't that strange? But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to be giving this movie a 7 out of 10. Now, I know that might seem a little low to people, but, I thought long and hard about what I would give this movie. And it was really tough. It was really hard to break it down. There were some things I liked. There were some things I didn't like. I did not like the whole thing with Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed again. I did like some of the things that they did in this movie with like some origins, but I was not a big fan of them using some of those origin plots from other comic books and movies and things like that and putting them all into this movie. And Joker himself, I thought was okay. I just feel like maybe I need to see more of him, or I need to see him up against a Batman to see if I really, really like him or not. So with that being said, like I said, 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about the movie. What would you give this movie? Until then, guys, thank you for watching, and I'm out of here. Up, and away. See you guys.